Welcome to Soul Conversation with Sandra, the podcast. And I'm going to be inviting in a guest. His name is Geoffrey Johny, HD. Yes, he's an artist. And he's going to be joining us right now. And we're going to have a great time. Let me invite him in right now. All right. So I believe I have done it correctly, and he will be joining us shortly. And here he comes. Yes, here he
Hello,
is.
hello, hello.
Hello. So, how are you doing? Are you ready for this conversation?
Oh yeah, I've been ready for this conversation.
I
I just had to just feeling, easing the energies and everything today. We're just coming off of a full moon. Well, it's still around. The energy is still around. So, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling
yeah,
great. How you feeling today?
uh, I'm feeling good. I'm excited.
hmm
Hi, Jay Will.
hmm
I'm definitely excited for this conversation. Everybody, we're going to attempt to keep this within an hour to an hour and 15 minutes because
Yes.
we unfortunately we do have other things to do
Mhm.
in our day, but we are talkers and we could probably talk the whole day, right? But we're
Indeed.
not going to do that to you. Um, we are going, like I said, there were the last major conversation we had, Gio. Can
hmm
I call you Gio?
Yes,
Yeah.
please do. I love it when people call me
Oh,
Gio.
okay. So the last conversation that we had, that we really, really had, no, let's put it
hmm
this way. The very first, either it was the first or second conversation,
Yep.
I had brought up to you that I believed men needed to be identified in the relationship arena as being abused as well,
hmm
right?
hmm
And we're going
hmm
to start off with that because this was it's very, sometimes it hurts my heart when I
hmm
talk about it because I know people that are very close to me and they are men and they're they don't even know that they're being abused, but when they talk to me, I know it's abuse. And I
hmm
know that it's very one-sided when um, men and women look at it because it's a very old story that's been around for forever. And most men don't even know that story exists. They just do things like kind of like a robot with the programming on it
Literally.
that nobody's ever fixed. And you shared with me some information. Matter of fact, you were very excited about this, that somebody else actually knew it existed. And we're going to start with that question is how how did you begin to understand that there was a story that was written for men that men are still doing that allows them to be um, uh, misused and misabused, just like women?
Well, when it comes to that, I feel like that's a powerful question right there in itself, and it comes from many different dimensions of virtues in a way, from culture-based things, society, how we as men are being presented, even through media and stuff like that, or what is the specific superior man supposed to be looking like? What does he do? How does he behave? How does he act? And everything like that. And sometimes I feel like because it's so frowned upon for men to be vulnerable, to really to show their feelings and or emotions in a way or the other, because that's a female trait per se, to feel their emotions and stuff like that, is quite shone against it. And if somebody does that, then you feel like you're supposed to be weak in a way or the other. You looked at from society, in a weak situation, and from there it kind of stops us as men to connect, to have like this bromance between men and speak about certain things that it shouldn't be looked over, because
Mhm.
it does affect and impact our well-being when it comes to mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually in general. It's a whole way of like us being open to every part of us. But this program has been set on for people, for men not to feel like it's okay to feel in general, to be in tune with their divine feminine within themselves, and be able to share and feel like being vulnerable is a sign of weakness, but it actually isn't. There's so much strength in being vulnerable, to share some uncomfortable conversations where it can actually even lead you to open up yourself, be transparent, and then have people to kind of comment on what you've been through. So there's actually a lot of strength with people when they actually end up being open to their emotions and what they've been hiding and masking, for that kind of say. So I definitely feel like there's so many ways that we can go about it when it comes to that, just because it shows a lot, and then it reflects on our day-to-day relationships with the opposite sex as well, and how we feel like certain things we shouldn't really pay attention to it because that's what females do.
Right.
When it's like that's not even a kind of gender situation. It has to be more like on a fluid energetical thing. There's certain things that the divine feminine energy brings in, and there's things that the divine masculine energy brings in, and we both hold that within ourselves. So when we are flowy, where we are creative, that's us tapping into that divine energy, like the feminine divine energy when it comes to that. So, and then when we were being more like, logical, constructive, analytical, and planning things through, that's the divine masculine energy that's bringing structure into things. So when we allow to embrace both experiences, and we look at it from that point of view, we're able to feel like, oh, it's okay to feel certain emotions, and it's okay to speak about them in a way to understand my own self, and also see like, am I in a healthy connection with source, with my loved ones, with the people around me, and with my own self, or am I not having such a healthy connection because of things that I've looked up. I thought that was healthy to look to hone into that energy, but it wasn't so healthy to hold on to that and then keep it in and bottled in a way or the other. So it's healthy for us as men, but as human beings in general, to communicate and open up,
Right.
use that third chakra kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Actually, because I find the story, and for anybody who needs to know the story was told a long time ago. I mean, since if you need to have a time frame, just think about the year 16, right? In the 1800s, or even probably before that. The story was written that men are not supposed to utilize love at all. It's a quality that they don't need to use to rule, basically. And then down the centuries, bringing it forward to us, the storyline hasn't changed. Times have changed, but that story keeps getting handed down from generation to generation, and the degrading of the story it doesn't do any greater good for man, because man feels that now that they've taken love out of it, who's going to actually believe that they can be abused by their son or their daughter or their wife, or even parental abuse, right? It doesn't mean that parents say, okay, I'm not going to pick on not going to pick on the man, I'm just going to pick weaker of the sex. That's not how it goes. It's when your ego and your pain body get together, they don't care who they really, and basically, I'm a pirate, I'm going to say it the way it is, they don't care who they fuck. So if it's your parents and they're abusing you, whether it's mind manipulation or actually physical abuse, that story is coming from somewhere, right? And here's the other flip side of it. Women think that they get a pass. I'm sorry, I'm a woman. I'm going to tell you what I heard when I first heard somebody tell my brothers that little boys don't hit girls. The first thing that went in my mind is, oh shit, I can get away with some shit here as a kid. I mean, that meant that I could, you know, mess with my brothers come hell or high water, and they couldn't do anything to me, right? Okay, now fast forward that into your my brother or your mother or your, not your mother but your father or whatnot, growing up with that thought pattern, right? And that thought pattern is, I can't hit girls or women. I have to be passive and docile and whatnot, right? And they pull it forward, and then here you have women who they might not set out to be violent, but you have them. They have some have mental disorders, some have, you know, disorders due to drug abuse or alcohol, or they just grew up being mean and vicious to their little brothers, and they just took that story forward. So like I said when we were first talking about it, it's like, women, you're probably going to hate me because I'm going to put us all on a pedestal here, and I'm going to do 360 degrees, because we're all responsible as human beings for each other's wellness and well-being of the human existence, right?
Indeed. Yeah.
So
I definitely believe that plays a huge part, and I think people like overlooked at it, how it could mainly become a whole domino effect that 10 years later it's a norm to look at it from a point of view like, oh, as a man, you know, we couldn't hit women without giving a flower, but we should be able to receive all the external thing that can happen without us protecting our own self as
right,
well. So it comes from in many different ways, because as you do one thing, it's how you do any other thing. So it's like basically putting it like as a principle of integrity. Oh, I couldn't hit women, couldn't be disrespectful to women, in any kind of way, mentally, physically, emotionally, and all that stuff. You know, they're delicate beings and all that good stuff. But then it puts us away as if like we have feelings as well, and we don't have feelings as men, and it shouldn't be acknowledged one way or the other. Or like when we tend to show emotions through our tears, and you can see like our being really passionate about it. A woman can look at it, oh, but why are you crying? Like, don't be a crybaby. Like, why are you acting like a little?
be a pussy, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Just to keep it like in that way, like, you know, don't be a little bitch. Those kind of little things, and you make, and it kind of puts you back in your shell. As a man, you're like, oh, you should acknowledge these kind of things, and it's not humane to be a man with, you know, sensitiveness, you know, where you gotta being sensitive, you know, and you see that even through the music industry and stuff like that. Some people they speak about of certain men that are able to convey their music with emotions and stuff like that. They looked at them like, oh, they're Drake people. Like when they show their emotions and they're having like that Drake type, you know, situation where they're stuck in all this loving things, and it's like, no,
Right.
that's just a human being thing, you know. Like we all experience these emotions. We all have these emotions. It's just like, who's really a man to speak about it, rather than just to hide it behind and act like, oh yeah, I'm a man because I know how to hide things. It's like, no, you're being real to your own self,
Right.
you know. And just as women in general as well, like when we try to put all this mask on just to like cover our own true self, like, you know, besides us accepting it, it just shows a whole different experience for any kind of person that's around that energy, you know, when you're able to like fully truly be you and be open and transparent, rather than just to hide behind these masks that we think of, like either programs, either mindset, you know, beliefs, or what we think is okay to live by in society, but what is right, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I want to, whoever's in the room right now, I read a book. Matter of fact, I read 3 of them. Okay. They were called Conversations with God. It was by Neil Donald Walsh, right? So I got through the the first two, and then I was embarking on the third one, and I had a friend who told me, she says, you're gonna like the third one. By the second chapter of the third one, you're gonna have an aha moment. So this is an aha moment for women, okay, who have ever thought that we never had a power moment. Okay, the power moment came. The gentleman wrote the book in two person because it was conversations with God. So basically, the conversation starts with God, with him asking God, how did the devil come to be? And God said, the devil is man-made, and there's a reason behind it. So he says, before you begin with how the devil was created, let's talk about when it was and why. And what was just blew my mind is the fact that Source said, if anybody in the room, whether you call it Almighty God, Source, or the divine creator, when I say Source, I'm meaning all of it, right? Said that once upon a time, the earth had a matriarchal society, and it said just that. It was a matriarchal society, and that the women had held all the everything in political. They did everything in professional. They carried that whole society, right? And men, and so Neil Donald Walsh said, well, what did men do? Men reared the children. They donated to the baby making, you know. And I'm not saying this as verbatim of what the word says. I'm kind of improvising of what I said. Right. Okay. So, and they didn't really have any activities in running the government or taking care of the society as a whole. Finally, they got a little leeway, but when they got to where they got, they decided to stage a coup. And they decided that they would never be in that position that they were in again, right? And Source said that they struck it from all record. Something so heinous happened, or they believed their perception of it was so heinous that they didn't want this to ever happen again, right? Okay, so they struck it from the record, okay, and then they staged a coup, and then when they decided to rule the world, they said, this is never going to happen again, because we're not going to rule by love. We're going to rule without love, and we're going to make sure that we stay in power. And I'm you know, what do you call that word where I'm not saying it verbatim. So right. If you don't believe this, if you're laughing at it, any guys in the room, get the book and read it. You don't have to read all three to get his third book in the second chapter, and when that question was answered. Okay, and then they struck it from the record. And so I remember meditating, when I was meditating, and I was like, wow, that really happened, kind of like stayed on my mind. And Source says, well, told me the reason why it stuck out like a sore thumb to you is you need to ask what next. And I said, what next of who? I mean, I told you this before. I said, what next? Usually when I say a what next, I'm about to embark on some kind of change. And Source says, you have to, this is what, you don't have to do it, but this is your thing. And after I read that, the first two things that Source made aware to me, this is a man who wrote this book. This is a man who's getting divine downloads from Source, writing this, and knowing that if he leaves it in the book, he's going to catch all hell for it, which he did, but he left it there. Because now I understand. We are in, the pendulum has swung back.
Yep.
And women are now in their own, finding their own footing, becoming, and they truly are becoming equals to men in some places. And the what next is the pendulum has swung back. You have finally understood that you were in the system as a matriarchal society. How are you going to do it again? Right. And I just went, interesting. Are we going to, and the question is, are you going to allow masculine, feminine from both sides to rule? What do you think about that question?
That's deep. That question right there, it's I feel like it's still looking at it from a point of view of duality, and that's still not looking at it from a oneness kind of thing when it comes to who's gonna rule in which area, because they both bring something to the table.
I think, and the source is telling me that I need to qualify that. It's not from feminine and masculine, it's masculine and feminine in both of them as they rule. I don't know if people know how to do it. That's my question. Do you think, I mean, spiritually, we might know how to do that because we're learning about masculine and feminine, and that we both, I have it, masculine and feminine in me, as opposed to anybody that I'm engaging with spiritually. But on a worldview, how do you think we, the question would be, how do we take our spirituality and bring it to the world in that form?
Well, that's what it is. It's deep. I think that's where I was basically saying as well, how we look at certain things. Because if we think about it from this point of view, it's like everything that we do is spiritual. Even the things that we think that is not spiritual has a spiritual sense or a spiritual meaning to it. So it's from whichever way you want to look at it. Somebody, when they're stuck in their in their egotistical ways or whatever it can be, they might look at, oh, it's a closed door, and that means it's not there. Nothing is there for me. Why? Boom. However, when you look at it from a spiritual point of view, you're like, that closed door is redirection. The closed door is telling me, like, there's a better way out here. Why should I force myself to this situation? Or maybe it's something that's there and it's not there for me. So ask about yourself, and then it makes you want to go deeper. Like, when we look at certain things, it's like just the tip of the iceberg sometimes. It's like we think, oh, what we see in the iceberg, in the tip, that's everything. But the spiritual side of it, it's the bottom. That's we're always connected, that we never really tuned into it or really looked into it in general. So when I was talking about it before, when it comes to, like, the masculine energy and the feminine energy, like the divine masculine, divine feminine, I placed them in a way where it's like I'm looking at it from a point of view of creation, what it's flowing, what it's feeling, that is divine feminine, what is structure, what is bringing essential power and firmness, it's divine masculine, being analytical, planning things out. So it's when we are able to both understand that they both play a part. Like, for you to have a space to be creative, you might need to have some structures built around you, and how to create something that then you want to produce at the end of the day, like, in deliver and service to the world. You're gonna have to plan it properly, to structure it and have that discipline enough to, like, start from from the start and finish it off. So it's all that kind of mindset that we as individuals on a spiritual level, we go back and forth. When we're thinking through our left brain, we're thinking on analytical ways, and that's the masculine energy. We're thinking with our right brain, is the opposite. It's the feminine, creative. Artists are more into that right brain function, because they're tapping into that feeling of energy. So we tend to do that subconsciously on a day-to-day basis. But when we are bringing that same awareness that soul knows already to the ego, to the conscious mind, that's when we like look at it like, oh wow, I didn't see it like that, but it was always there, just because we didn't read it that way. So, and we've been managing it, manipulating it without being conscious of it naturally. So now that we have the consciousness about it and awareness about it, we can actually decide, like, tap in, like, okay, cool, I'm tapping in my divine masculine, and then I can tap in my divine feminine when it needs to be, and know how to balance the both, and I'll be in a situation where, like, I would have to use my divine feminine energy, but because I'm lost, I'm using my divine masculine, and it's not working.
Right.
That's that door closed that you think, oh, why is it not working? Why is it not working? It's because you're not using the right energy. You're not reading the room, the experience with the universe, with what's going on within your own self, and the interaction within that. So I think I was mentioning as well in my other life, when it comes to, like, following, being in tune with nature. Sometimes we're so out of tune in life that we're in this matrix that we get lost in it. And sometimes, as any kind of instrument that we have, is for us to kind of retune ourselves. And sometimes we have to be around the same things that brings in the same frequency, and get you on the right thing. So sometimes it's like, that's why we call it as an ego death, to, like, put the ego in the back seat and put the soul in the force seat kind of thing, and driving steering seat. And that's the main thing about, like, retuning your body, because you've been too much in this world that you kind of got lost in.
Right.
But now when you're coming back to soul, to the essential abundance, the beginning and end of all things in general, you're connected to the divine energy, and you're able to retune yourself, regather yourself, heal yourself, remember who you are in general. Because the soul is ancient. It's just the ego that's just it's new to this, because it's just been here for this lifetime, and that's it. It's like the soul has been going and going and going, experiencing in many different ways, and that's where it's able to bring that peace and have that patience. However, the ego, is kind of like ancient about certain things to get things done, or thinking about the past and holding on to the things like that is not able to make the most of the moment. And when we're in the moment, we're able to know, am I using this energy today, or right now for this moment, or am I using that energy? That's really
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like, just like, I mean, see, there's so many different ways to say it. That's why we have a large awakening, and people waking up in certain and they're finding we assume, and I'll use the word assume, because as we wake up, we come out of a kind of like a fog, right? And it's just basically, we start living a little bit more in our now, the more we become aware of our presence, and aware that we are awareness, and that there's so many categories or names that we give our higher beings. So I would be today trying to name them all, but for me, awareness is aware. This is source moving in, through, and as you. And I remember having a family member of mine ask me, am I celebrating the same God that I used to celebrate when I was a born again Christian, right? And my answer to her was, yes. I've just now been able to see them, it or they, with not only just open eyes of source, but with an open and expanding heart. So a lot of the things that I learned about religion no longer serve me, but it's only because our egoic, what we call the egoic mind, or that egoic just look at the egoic mind as like when you learned about the brain, and they showed you that video in school, and how the brain, with all the light all the things moving through your mind, and lights going off here, and your nano this and nano that. That's what your egoic mind is. It's just a subroutine. It was created, believe it or not, it was created by our mind in third density. And this made so much sense to me when I finally put two and two together, and got, well, okay, well, 2 and 2, yeah, that's 4, but you add another 2, might not be 6, because we're going to look at it differently now. your soul is going to go, oh, now she's really awake and she wants to know a little bit more. Let's show her about herself. And the more that and I'm saying this because I love the way you said put the ego in the back seat, right? So when I know that awareness is moving in through and as me, that's part of source wanting to know itself through me, through the physical, the duality of me, the physicality, what was created by light, what was created by the energy of the divine being. And finally, I understand when I ask the question, am I aware? Anything that my ego is trying to present to me has to take a back seat. And I finally understand it is because the divine creator is at a vibration that's, just off any chart anywhere. Our ego can't vibrate there. It's a lower density. It's only showing us things that will keep us safe. It's not my enemy, but it's not my best friend. I mean, they're make their ego the best friend, but me personally, I don't choose to work that hard because my ego is going to make me work to get rid of it anyway. And then when you said, and I want you to explain it to everybody, when you said that the ego doesn't die, right? It made, remember that time where we got, and it just that the ego is merging back with your mind. Your mind said, take care of this body until I figure out what's going on, and gave it a parameter, and that parameter around the egoic mind never increased and it never decreased. It just kept going. I got to keep this body named Sandra safe. So same three things: fight, flight, or resist. No matter what happens, do these three things, and this body is going to stay safe, regardless of if it's comfortable for me, regardless of if it's for my greater good. And then when you said, I want you to explain them to them. This is my next next question is, will you explain how the ego needs to be, I think did you use the word nurtured? Yeah. I think you used the word. And then source came through me and said, nurtured meaning giving back to the mind, so that it merges back with the mind, just as soul will eventually merge back with source. Indeed. And it went, woo!
Anyway, fireworks came through, but I get to stop. Yes, that's the powerful thing about it. I feel like in this spiritual community, we come across the word or the phrase, I had an ego death and everything like that, and we look at it as if like we have to kill our ego. We have to, like, that's the blame, that's the fault. When it's not that. The ego, it's something that's been that made us who we are today, how we're able to recognize from separate to one another, and it's a collective of your influences when it comes to your culture, your society, nature, religion, any programs that you've been programmed with through the media and through whatever you're consuming in general, is made your ego be your ego in general. So when it comes to that, it's about, like, sometimes knowing what is the information that I came across healthy or not healthy, because it might have bad habits to it. And that's why we feel like, oh, it's the ego's fault because the ego's been programmed bad. But it's okay. It wasn't its fault, and it's not bad. It's just the program that he has running right now. It's the toxic one. It's the bad habit one. It's the one that's taken away rather than given. So it's all about, like, kind of shedding away. Like, for us to reprogram our mind, for us to reprogram our own self in general, it's about shedding away what we know and what we've learned, for you to then pour into something better, to update, to upgrade yourself. And that's what it's all about. Like, it's about upgrading the ego. The ego's been running on this system that it has been only functional mainly for society to how to live in this world, but it's not been so functional for our own identity, our own entity, our own energy in general to be feel complete within our own self, and right, and always looking to depend on something else, because we are resourceful. We have resources within our own self. When we feel like we don't have it, that's when we truly do have it, and it's asking of us to go into the unknown, to do things differently, to think outside of the box. However, it's because of the limiting belief that we've been introduced to, and we are allowed to keep on reabsorbing it and what can I say, reconfirming what we are experiencing by saying, yes, I knew it, I heard it somewhere, so I'm keeping on experiencing this kind of reality because you attached to it, you subscribe to that reality in a way. So it's about you, taking that subscription thing off and letting your ego know, like, oh, that's the wrong thing that we're channeling into right now. We shouldn't be doing so. We should channel into something that is healthy, that's given to us, so that we can give to the world as well. And so that's why I feel like it shouldn't be called an ego death, but it should be called like an ego shed. Like you're shedding your skin, like you rebranding your own self. Like a snake, you just getting a new skin going on because you've been wearing that skin, that mask to make you look and act in a certain way through society, and it has played its part for where it got you to. But if now you want to upgrade and go to Geo 2.0 version kind of thing of yourself, you want to then reprogram your mind, let go of the old program, and upgrade it, update it in every way. Because we're so focused on upgrading our phones and stuff like that, but when it comes to our own self, how do we upgrade ourselves? When it comes to like us, like tapping into a whole different energy that is a better version. Like, okay, cool, I passed this year. Let me change something up to make it more challenging for my own self, because this is what it is. Life is about growing, and if we don't challenge ourselves to grow in all aspects of life that it shows us and it promotes to us in our reality, we're just basically doing a disservice to our own self, and we kind of like cutting it off to a point where it's like we're not really tuning into who we truly are, and we're the best and greatest version of yourself that you can be. But because you're playing it limiting because of the certain how can I say, programs that have been expired already, you're limiting yourself at that point, and you don't looking to go beyond what you know. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
really what I'm saying.
Oh, I could just listen to you all day, because it confirms through
Mm-hmm.
with me that, yeah, there. And the thing is, if anybody has listened to my videos and my lives and everything, it's about putting your ego in the back seat and allowing the brain, the mind, not the brain, but the mind that's in every cell of our body. And it's been about 10 or 15 years since scientists have came to this bright idea that the mind is in every cell of our body. It took them this long to figure this out, right? But our mind has been in every cell of our body. It's in our skin, it's in the fascia, it's in your bones, it's in your toes, it's in your eyebrows, it's in every strand of your hair. Your mind is everywhere. It's even on the outside of the surface. Why? Because your mind was created by Source, that created body, mind, and soul as a triune creator. And then that part of the triune creator said, I'm conscious now. And it looked into our soul and said, well, the soul, oh, you're not, you're still sleeping, right? So I've got to protect this body. And it created a subsystem. Now, whether it forgot to create updates, I don't know. But the part of us, this body and mind and soul, as our soul is awakening, is enabling us to do the updates ourselves by allowing ourselves to tap in to go inward. And sometimes your ego, the system, doesn't want you to do it, because what it did is it thinks it's conscious. It's aware that it's a system that has been protecting you and providing you this finite ability to keep yourself safe. So it thinks conscious, but it's not as conscious as your mind, right? it's a creator, but it's like a um uh less than a demigod creator, right? If we're
I
talking
like that. I like that.
Hercules or Xena, you know, Xeroid,
Mhm.
all right, not it's not quite there. It's got, you know, it's got certain things that prohibit it from being the creator, right?
Mm.
But it's us as the spiritual awakening being through our wisdom and understanding, through that wisdom and understanding of the learning process. That's not all the downloads that are there from old religious beliefs, or you know, learning in school to do it a certain way, or don't color outside the lines, or you know, this wasn't made for you, so don't do it, you know, that kind of thing. And our mind, the more we surrender our egoic mind back to its creator, the stronger
Yeah.
the creator is going to be, the stronger our mind is going to be, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to incorporate all those systems that kept us finite, and then it's going to update it,
Mm.
right? It's just like going to Best Buy and buying a new software package when your computer says, "Okay, I'm not going to move for you anyway." When your spreadsheets start glitching, your music starts it won't download anymore. You can't get online anymore. It's slow to less than a crawl. We all are trained to go out and buy software packages, and sometimes we don't even think about the cost of this. If you really need it, you're not going to wait for it to go on sale,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
right? You know, so
That is
and all of that was an awakening or a download or up for me. Everything everything that's within us is being like jump started. You know, we call it downloads, but
mhm.
it's jump start. It's like, oh man, when Geo said that, Source said, "Ooh, you know, get the paddles, you know." Well,
I love that. That is powerful. That's definitely what it is. Because I think it goes hand in hand to knowing that we're remembering everything. We already know. We are always knew it forever. We will know, but we're just remembering. Like, okay, well, like it's like basically you living into this house or a mansion, right? And every room is a representation of a version of you that you could be. Like, and you know you have that in you because you know what's in the room, but until you walk into that room it doesn't come out of you, right? So it's just like you going into like me being an artist, right? And I got this artist room, but I'm still spiritual. I'm still have my spiritual practices, so I have a spiritual room, and you'll see it reflecting to my energy when I'm doing my spiritual work, when I'm doing my artistry work, when I'm doing my social media work, when I'm doing it in different ways, in different gateways to express ourselves. You will see that. You know, if I'm an author, you see me doing my book energy. If I'm an artist and my singing energy, if I'm an athlete, you'll see me in my athletic energy. So when it comes to that, it's like seeing it from a point of view that you know what's in the room, but if the light is off, you know where everything is, but the light is off right now. When I'm stepping in, I turn on the light so I know where things goes and how to tap into that kind of energy that I've been involved in. So that's mainly what it's all about. It's about knowing that you already had that within you, but when you walk in, because it's funny because for you to find the answers, then you all had the answers within you. So when you go within and you turn the light on from within now, you're seeing, oh, that's the answer. That's what I was looking for. It was lost because I lost myself, but I found myself within losing myself. So truth be told, I needed that moment to remind myself of where I need to go and look and check this information out,
right,
or know more about me and how can I tap into these kind of skills.
right.
So that's mainly what it's all about, and it's about rebooting, like recharging. So like, oh, I was always here. I just need to be waking up and remember, like, oh, I'm actually still playing this game, kind of thing. So
Right.
it shows a powerful thing. Even when it comes to the spiritual awakening, it's as it says, it's an
Yeah.
awakening that you always been there. It's just you like, okay, thank you for bringing that to my awareness now. I'm aware. I'm awake. It's daytime. Okay, let's do what I need to do. Thank you. But that's mainly what it's all about, and it's always been there, and it's powerful. I love to see that.
Very, very powerful. Very, because I had this one night. I went to sleep and I said, I'm thankful and grateful that I'm sleeping well tonight. I said, and I'm thankful and grateful that through my dreams, that which is I think it's something like uh, that is not within my sight will be revealed to me through my spiritual eyes. And on the crust of it, I was sitting. It was miraculous. It was just like I was sitting, not in a room. I was sitting on like some rocks, and the fog was lifting, and I was there, and there were, animals of all sorts. And I swore, and I do still believe this, that what was in front of me was this big, massive bird, and it was speaking, okay, but not squawking. It was speaking like, I would say, like light language or something.
Yeah. Okay.
And as I was looking at the vibration coming from off of it all around it, I get it. Okay, I get it. And then I woke up. And what I woke up to, and this was like, I don't know, I've had so many, I've had like 3 or 4 awakenings, no, maybe 2 or 3 awakenings since I was young. And then a major one where I had the awakening across everything in my life. Doesn't mean, and here's the kicker, is I thought when I was awakened through all of that, everything was going to go away. I couldn't get touched, shit was going to happen. I was all, money was going to fall from the sky, that kind of thing, right? And then dream. And in it, as this bird, vibrated this information, it was when I woke up and I sat up in my bed, put my feet on the floor, and I said, thank you, and realized that every room in my house was a different dimension. And every room in my house, no matter what I saw as material, even though I created it, in every place that I've ever lived. I mean, this was because it was I've been creating, whether it's conscious or not, I've been creating every room in my house as a different dimension. Each room is, yes, it's wholeness. If you walk through it and you never thought about it, you would just think that they're connected. But each room has a different energy to it and a different creative pattern. And it was like, oh shit, that's like massive.
Yeah.
Because you begin to understand that your creativeness never ends. It never ended, even though you were unaware of it, even though you were, your gifts and your gifts and your skills and understanding was layered by, just information that's limiting. That is limiting, because when you awake to it, you feel that it's limiting, and I'm going the other way. And when I started to understand, every room that I walked in had a different vibrational creation that I could create from it, that I could make it, either make a change from it or use it how it was created for. Right? It's like, okay, now I get it. In the Bible, where Jesus was telling them, in my Father's mansion there are many rooms, right? In the whole grand design of it, there are many rooms. We're teaching people to break out of the matrix instead of create from within it. Right.
That's and that just reflects on the program that we've been running towards, and we're running with, thinking like, oh, it's the right way that we're running it. Yes, we gotta get out the matrix. Like, no, you chose to come in the matrix. Anywhere you go, it will be a certain kind of matrix, because there will be, as long as it's like an individual, it's making it, it's creating its space. And when it's like your own house, your own room, it's a form of matrix. It's your own matrix. Like when I step into your own dimension, into your own experience, that's a whole like me coming into Sandra's place. So I have to go by Sandra's rules because that's her own home, right? So if she wants me to take off my shoes, I'll have to take off my shoes. It's not like I'm just trying to like put my shoes on, but then I'll have a bad experience in her matrix because I didn't go by her rules. Do you see what I'm saying? And now we're having like all this awkward conversation when it's like, oh, if I would have taken my shoes off, it would have been, we would have moved on from that experience and it would have been in the moment. However, because of you thinking this is this and this is that and da 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 da, you're not able to experience with effortlessly vibes in general. So when it comes to us being the matrix, it's about knowing how to play in the playground. Like, how can we make the most out of it? And that's how when you tap in with your own inner child, when you walk into any place, any space, you want to have fun. You make characters. You build characters out of pencils and stuff like that, and you just begin playing around with pencils or stuff like that, or little things that you just make your imagination work. So you're building the whole experience for your own self. And I think throughout getting growing up in general, we missed that whole connection with our inner child of how to look at the world with like a aha moment and like feeling super excited about life in general. So when we kind of got lost and disconnected with that, we end up feeling like, oh, everything is it's an issue. Everything is fear based because fear, it's false evidence appearing real that we're putting onto ourselves because we're not confident within our own self. We're not fully feeling fulfilled within, and that's why outside we feel like, oh, it lacks this, it lacks that, it lacks that. But truth be told, is what we see outside of ourselves, it's a reflection of what's within. So if we think that they're lacking, it's something within us that's lacking.
Right.
If we're thinking they're abundant, there's something that within us as well that it's abundant, and it's able to recognize that.
Right.
Because we don't recognize real. So when it comes to all that experience, it's about decoding the matrix, knowing how can you live better in these dimensions, in these situations. How can you make this new habitat your own, like your natural habitat?
Yeah.
You know, like us as human beings, we always travel. Like when we travel, we end up, getting with time, which is things I must experience with time, depending if it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you live in that place. When you came into that space or that country as a tourist, now you feel like you're a whole local. Like you've been living here for too many years, and you know how the culture works, how to connect with individuals, what to eat, and how to cook, and da 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 in that kind of space. And it's all because we're mutable beings. Like we can, we just like water. When Bruce Lee says be water, know how to walk into a space and let the atmosphere build you. Like know how to place yourself in that thing and make yourself fit in that pocket kind of thing. And then you go to a new space, a new container, because the countries are just containers of spaces that we then create with us as being creators in general. We create and how to make this place look better, whatever the case may be. But it's like us having like a clean canvas and then us being artistical in this, painting how reality should be and how we experience ourselves through self-expression, whether if it's in an artistical way or in a communicative way. That's always us informing how we are. Whatever we wear is what we're making that fashion statement. Whenever we speak, we're just speaking on the knowledge that we have. What we sing, we express our capabilities in being vocally creative. It's all these kind of things that we tap into. So it's about checking that experience out and knowing that you're experiencing that, and then from there you're able to flow with it without running away from it. Because that's what's made it. Like I think, ego death, it shouldn't be ego death. It should be more like ego shed. Like let's work on my ego. Let's rebuild. Let's retune. Let's program the ego. And getting out of the matrix should be like, how can I experience the best life in general in this matrix, with this matrix? How to co-create with this matrix and this simulation kind of thing. Become one with it, expand. So that's really what I'm saying. So that's just how I see it in general.
That to you telepathically expanding because it just kind of kind of downloaded, uploaded, and exploded all at the same time. Right?
Literally. I
Right.
love that.
And that's what I believe. That's what I believe. Whether you call it matrix or illusion, whether you call it screen of awareness, it's all expandable. And we were supposed to. We are the creators that are supposed to be doing that. Life is supposed to be expanded, and we're so when they said go forth and multiply, it's not multiply children. It's really not. Okay, really not. We're only, just think of it this: if it was supposed to be multiplying children, we would be way beyond 8 billion people. If that was the information that we were supposed to download from. It's about it's about multiplying life. What's your life going to be about, and what are you going to multiply? Are you going to expand the matrix? Are you are you going to expand the matrix with negative energy? Because you surely can. Why? Because we have free will choice. Source is not going to take it away from you, right? Or are you going to expand your life and multiply it with the gift of energy that you call good energy? You get the choice. It doesn't matter. I know I've come from a religion that says if something isn't coming to you, it's because God chose a different path. Well, I asked my mother once upon a time, I said, well, if God gave us free will, why would God change it if we willed it so? And my mother put her hands on her hips, as she usually does, man, because I give adults some stumping questions, right? And he just said, I don't know the answer to that, honey, but I know you're about to go out and find out. I believe you have another puzzle piece, right? She just knew it. You have another puzzle piece that's not fitting, right? And I said, yeah, I don't understand that. Is that the God that we're taught, going back on, and it was a hymn then, his word, right? But here it is. It's now I truly understand it. It's source moving in, through, and as me. And whatever question I have, whatever I want from source, God will always, or source will always, or awareness will always, or illusion will always, or the matrix will always, or the divine creator will always say yes to you. There is
always right.
Right?
I love that.
I think,
No, but it's definitely spot on when it comes to that. It reflects on everything that we've been literally speaking of. And I just love how you said go on and multiply, because that's mainly what it is. And how I said it before is about how we do one thing is how we do every little thing. So when you said that, it's like people could just, if they're hey Lolita, if people are just there thinking of from a narrow point of view,
yeah,
they will only see it that way. So like they think multiply, oh, we gotta make more babies. That's mainly what it is. But with that same energy, if somebody has a bird's eye view, or a much more openness, with the other, to think it's not about making babies, it's about treating everything that we're creating as our baby. Nature is looking at us like what we call it, Mother Nature. It's always, we always been a baby to our Mother Nature, but also Mother Nature has also been our provider as well. And that's what always gives us what we always need, in a way or the other, on the healthy love. So when it comes to that, it's about looking at it from that point of view of like, if I see myself as connected with Mother Nature and everything like that, how can I receive the same benefits that's provided for me? So when you're able to receive that and see it from that point of view, it comes on. I think I was trying to get to a point about it, but now I'm just like, shoot, where was I trying to go? What was I just saying when it comes to connecting, multiplying? Boom, multiplying. Okay, cool. So when it comes to multiplying, it's like you've been expanded your point of view. Every creation that you do, is you multiplying. It's an extension of you. Like when, authors write books, they've made and they created a baby. And you know what they say about using your vital energy, right? The same semen as men that we planting in to bring a baby into it is the same energy when we channel it. Instead of throwing it away, we're conveying it in our projects that we work on. When it comes to when we are being creative in a way or the other, that's for you to bring something to fruition and be it as a baby would be, a grown person would be. You have to put in that energy. You gotta nurture. You gotta know how to like give it what it needs and what it is essential for it, and you will need time to focus on that. So that same energy that we bring, that we're able to manifest in a baby into this world, we use that same energy to create all these ideas and bring these ideas that just started off from a thought or a dream to reality in our true matrix. And the matrix is a container that is provided for, like, when you say that the universe is abundant, your matrix is abundant. You will always find something in this matrix that you might need for your journey to bring whatever you need to bring to creation. Now it's just me about thinking. I had this idea of like writing a book. What would I need in this matrix now to write a book? Well, I need a publisher. I need a provider when it comes to papers and all these kind of things. And I will know once I'm open myself to that kind of opportunity, I will start attracting. My consciousness will go and find these things. The universe will bring it to me. It's like, when you have your phones listen to you, to your conversation, and all of a sudden you spoke about yoga mats, and all of a sudden you just go to your phone and all these yoga mats sponsorships are coming into your situation. That's how the universe works around you in this situation. Like, we're just tapping into a whole different dimension that just show us a reflection of what we can experience in our reality, in our life, outside of this phone kind of thing. It's like, that's how I always said it. How you do one thing is how you do everything. The phone is just a representation of how we can live into the world, the universe just hears our conversations, how when we speak to God, the universe, source, all these kind of names that it goes by, because, as God has mentioned in the Bible, I go by many different names. And we're here talking about it like, oh, God, Allah, Buddha, the universe, Mother Nature, all this stuff. It's the same essential energy, right?
Yeah.
It's an all of all. So when it comes to that, it's like we're always being provided for, as long as we ask and you shall receive, knock and the door will be open to you. It's just about you focusing on that enough for it to be open up to you. Like, sometimes when you go to somebody else's place, right, you forgot to message them, but they're gonna be home. So even you're ringing the bell, you're just there waiting, but they're home, so you're gonna be waiting and being patient, because they're probably coming down to open the door. But if you're not patient, if you're not waiting, if you don't have this inner knowing that the person is there, you probably will be like, okay, ring the bell, and then you just like 2 minutes later, no, they're probably not there. Let me leave. But that goes the same way on how you look at your what you're manifesting. You just went there to manifest, you getting inside the house and vibing with your friend, but you weren't patient enough, you didn't plan enough, you didn't see it so clearly enough for it to be, I know it's gonna happen. That's why I'm still waiting for it to happen, and I'm confident that they're coming down. That's how you should see our manifestations. It's like as long as we thought about it, it's already done. It's been done in the 5D. It's about us now being patient, because it takes time. Things I must experience for you to plant that seed and eat from the fruit. So it's all about like understanding it from that kind of point of view. It's like, once you know that it's been there, it's all about keeping that same vibration, keeping that same frequency of like you already have, because you are abundant and you are the universe experiencing itself. So you know that the universe is abundant. So you're confident in trusting in source that because you just asked, you will receive 100%. Because you just knocked, the door will come. People will come and talk to you because of what you placed. And that's what when people say like, oh, when we express our vibe, we attract our tribe.
Right.
It's because we are making it known to the universe. This is what we are today. Probably in our own teenage years, we went through different phases because we're trying to get to know who we are and go with the cool group or go with the loners or go with all these kind of situations. You're changing vibes and you're getting to know what it is. But every single time you open up to that kind of experience, you're being provided for. You're being taken care of for. Like, it's like you're going to an event, a themed event, and every time you go there, you already know the theme. And they know, and everybody like, that's coming to that event knows that thing. So that's why we all, you know, if we into comics, we go to the comic land situation, and we're all dressed up, wearing all these comics stuff, and we're all in sync because it's been provided. The space has been provided for us to be in that kind of energy.
Right.
But you know, that's how I see it. How the world works. How to decode the matrix.
Yeah,
Or the
when I
experience.
first started Instagram, Soul Awakening with Sandra on Instagram, it was because I was doing, I started doing inspirational videos to help people understand, to get to know themselves, that in order to create from a platform that was, okay, everybody's rushing to do the law of attraction, everybody's blah, 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 and I want to have, and blah, 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 blah. And just like you said, some people aren't patient with it. They don't have the practice in it. They want it because somebody else wants it, not necessarily because it's for their greater good. So I want to bring, I opened myself up to source, and I said, what do I need to do this? Right? I know what I want to say, but and for me, the surrender is, I know that you as source or the universe is moving in through and as me. Let your words be my words. And I surrendered. And the first thing that came to me while I was doing the videos was, I had always heard ask, believe, receive. Those 3 points. Very religious. Even as a kid, I understood it. If I ask for something, I just believe it hard enough, and I receive it, right? And as that worked, because I wasn't inhibited by a lot of, all the downloads that were given, because I had a mother who allowed me to tap into stuff. I don't say that she was doing it on purpose. I will not say that she knew the law of attraction. I won't say that she had a spiritual awakening. I don't know, right? I was the child, she was the mom, and she chose to do it that way, and it was wonderful, right? But fast forward to now, when I first watched the DVD The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and started listening to all these great people and having goosebumps that were inside my body, not just on my skin. It was vibrating. And I had probably that moment like Rhonda had, where it was like, I've got to tell people, I've got to show people, okay, surrender, how do I do this? And the first thing that Source told me was, it's not ask, believe, receive. It's ask, believe, allow, and receive. If they're all different vibrations, when you're asking, it's you tapping into a thought that you're having, right? Okay. Then when you're receiving, it's you tapping into the fact that you know that source is going to already answer it. It's already received. There's no gray area, right?
Yeah.
Source is just going to give you what you've asked for, what you're vibrating, and if you're vibrating, it becomes your truth about it. But we're talking about people who ask for things and then they're not patient. They're not in that vibratory field of allowing, where you're allowing it, where you're allowing that manifestation to meet you there, right? Right, and then receive it with gratitude, right? And so source was, okay, I see how that works. I see how that works. But there's also more to it, is before you ask based on a thought, you get to ask another question based on the deepest part of your beingness. Is this for my good? Am I asking for it because I see somebody else have it and I'm jealous because they have it and I want it? That's the part that sometimes our egoic mind won't let us dive deep into, because our egoic mind doesn't have control over that part that is the greater consciousness, which is our being inside. When I finally got that, it was like Source took me back to look at all your videos that you did then versus now, and what you know now. That's growth, expansion, and service, because I still want to serve. it's kind of like a teacher that goes to, you know, start teaching in 1977, and they're still a teacher in 2017. They've had to go get updated on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at it. It's 12:54 my time. So
Mm-hmm.
I told you I'm not going to go over 15 minutes. Forgive me. We did. So we ask forgiveness. I hope I haven't, you know, backed you up. And you know, you and I, when we get together, we can, Source will just keep this going, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
100%. I appreciate you. You were saying so many things there that I just like, I just had to like close my eyes and breathe in that freshness of air, because that's the free breeze right there. You know, that is like,
yeah,
yes, yes. It resonated so much, and I think it's the powerful thing about it, about that the soul, it's patient because it knows it's eternal and it has everything. It's the ego
right.
that's still learning in this experience that we're thinking like, oh, if I don't get it right now, people are gonna forget. And that's the whole program of things. Like we need to remind people. We need to like let them know, oh, why did it take so long? Is they even coming? All these little base fear situations. But when you know that it's the universe, your people, everything, the world loves you as you love yourself, and you will always be faithful and loyal to yourself, and you know, trust yourself no matter what. You can always trust the universe that it will provide you, it will meet you there. It's like you saying, making an appointment with this I don't know, secret crush or this online date, and you're thinking, I'm gonna make my way to this restaurant and be here at this time, knowing that they are gonna be there as well. You're gonna trust that. You know, you never met this person in real life, but you're gonna trust that, and it's because of how much you know this person, how much you're able to believe in the unknown, because you never know them in real life until you meet them at that point in time. So it's about knowing that experience as well on an external way when it comes to our manifestations. It's like we just asked, we just found out, but also it's giving it time, things I must experience to know if truly do I want what I've been asking for, or is it because I asked it because I had I just had like, oh my god, I had a feeling of just I want some candy, but knowing that in the long run it might not even benefit me. So let me not run right now to go get it. By the time or even maybe by the time I'm making my way to go and get it, you just change your ways. Like, you know what? I had these thoughts like of like what if, you know what? Let me not even do it. And now I don't even need to do that anymore. It gave me time enough to process it instead of acting on the first thing that I just think of. Because that's why people say, you know, be careful what you wish for. Sometimes we overlook at things and how we want to experience certain things. We want it, oh, I want it now, and then knowing that it didn't come when you wanted it because it was more out of your own selfish way
Mm-hmm.
to want something. But when you got it, you opened up yourself so much that now it's like I want it to share.
Right.
I want to experience to serve. You know, through if it wasn't for my experiences in life and whatever the wisdom that I gained from my experiences, I wouldn't be able to serve. You know, you embark life and you walk into life by just doing certain things. But once you started it, then you see the bigger picture. Like, okay, cool. I came here as an employee, but now I'm seeing it through as like I can be the boss, where I can employ other people. I came in as the student to learn, and now I can be the teacher to teach. So it's all about like through the experience, which time will give you, is about you seeing it from a different point of view, starting from here and then getting all the way to the top and seeing how can I be of service to everybody right here to show them how I came all the way here too. How can I lead by example?
Right.
You know, so
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm a big person that if you're at a higher energy, and you got there, there's a reason why you're there. There's a service that's soul or source wants you to do, and it's not to complain about the lower level energy that you're encountering. You have to ask within yourself, why am I encountering this lower energy? And if you're resonating in the higher energy the way that soul has called you to, then nothing's going to break that energy. Matter of fact, that energy is going to want to be free to serve. And
indeed,
and and if it's serving lower energy, it's serving lower energy to bring them up. Maybe not up to you, maybe just up. And it's
Mm-hmm.
up to you to not hold on to whatever negative energy that they've left at your doorstep. It's not because you need to set a boundary so that you'll never uh, 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 have somebody latch on to that energy. That energy is there for them to latch on, and then for you to say at the end of the day, after you've served, to say that energy that is not mine, that's no longer for my greater good. I allow it to be surrendered, and surrendered to the Almighty, or whatever you call your higher power, to transform and move back in to serve, to either go back to who left it there as
Mm-hmm.
energy, or go into the universe to serve, instead of being worried about being attacked by somebody else's energy. Because guess what? Its energy is all source.
It's all around us. It's all around us, within us, everywhere. Like
Right.
when it's right there. You know, energy, it goes. It's the same thing as source. Source is everything as spiritual. Spiritual is everything as is. Everything just is. You know,
Yeah,
you can just go in and deeper and deeper, and you see it.
it is, until we create the is not.
Mm.
So when is not, and when that energy that is feeling good, feeling great, feeling high, moving up, when it starts feeling bad, it's because you started worrying about that energy. You changed the whole dynamic of the energy. You opened yourself up to somebody that had some energy that wasn't great. They saw your energy. They wanted to just, they didn't want theirs anymore. They came on your page, or they came into your studio or whatnot, and um, they allowed you to service them. Then they left that energy that they didn't want anymore. They probably weren't even conscious of it. They just said, I feel bad, this person's made me feel good. I'm walking out the door, out the store, out the reading room, out the conversation room, out your life, and they feel great. They dumped it there, and then maybe you just didn't notice it, and then it made you feel bad. Why? Because you talk about how much bad energy is, and how much you need to have a boundary. So there it is. You got
Lesson learned.
to create it. So, but guess what? Now that you've observed it and you say, this isn't my energy, you get to surrender it. Source has made a way where there is no way. Guess what? I will tell you this before we leave. Source has made a way for you to be new every day. It's called sleep. It's called rest. It's called the nap. It's called turning on your TV and watching a program that fucking makes you laugh, that brings you into your now moment, and you get to say, "Am I new?" And Source says, "Yes."
Right there, that was the biggest jam, and I was thinking of saying it before, when we spoke about the spiritual awakening. That's exactly that. Like every single day, like we think like, oh, we're having a spiritual awakening now because like, oh my god, I'm seeing all this stuff. You have always been had a spiritual awakening every single day that you came into this reality. You didn't look at it from that point of view. Now, if anything, you're having a conscious spiritual awakening.
Right.
But you always see subconsciously, you always was awakening every single moment when your paradigm shifts, when you're getting all these vibrations, when you're getting all these sensations. That's a spiritual awakening. That's when it's like, oh, whatever you're saying is making me feel good. It's a breath of fresh air. That's you're waking up to something that you always was and always knew, but you just rehearing it today, and you having this fresh free breeze. Like, okay, cool. That's a spiritual awakening, you know. But it's like we just see it from like, oh, it's this thing. Like, no, it's every stage of that. It's your awakening to come into your true self, to remember who you truly are. You know, connect to yourself, and that's powerful. I love our conversations every single time because we let in source work to it, and
Yeah.
we just literally bouncing off of each other's energy. And it's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Just yeah. I'm gonna close this beautiful life, this beautiful podcast. I just want to let you you know that this podcast is not, it won't only be available here. I do transfer it to my podcast on my Spotify and my iTunes. If anybody has come into this page or this live late, I will save it. I do keep it in my bio, but I also, for you to know, I want to expand, and it will be on my YouTube, my iTunes, and my Spotify. Just to let you know, I will be putting you out there. Well, wait a minute. Sources already told me you're out there. I don't even need to give you the disclaimer. Okay, so I am closing this with 10845, and Source is wanting to give a prayer through everybody that has touched this page. Source is touching you. You can receive it or you cannot. It is totally your choice. So everyone take a breath in, hold it at the apex, and breathe it out. It does not matter whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth. Just surrender. Inashi no ku a e chuchanta iato ne shashana ku a te oka ima man tu she no ku a she sha uka a ne sho na sho no toku a ne chu she e na kuna e na ne sha le maha de tu shi ne o she no toku a ne a ma sho no ku uta a ne she maha ne tu sha no toku una ne tu sha na ai ne tu sha na ai ne tu sha na ai she no ku uku tu she na she na ku a ne tu she ne uta ata I. Be whole, be safe, create more, and then create again. 10845. Any energy that has come into the room that you are leaving here, I do not hold on to it. I surrender it to Source so that Source can transmute it through fire, just like the phoenix, and it rises again and comes to you. I do not call back my energy. I allow it to flow with wisdom and understanding. I thank you for being part of this podcast. 10845. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be in your presence as always, connecting with you and letting the soul shine. So I appreciate you for it's been a powerful session as well. Definitely stay tuned in. More and more collaboration will be happening with me and Sandra. Like we were definitely, it's gonna be amazing. It's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful awakening to say.
New awakening. Yes, and maybe sometime in May you'll join me again. We can talk about that. Yeah,
100%.
I have spaces available. I'd like to put you in all the spaces. I just like to have you all month long.
Thank you. Hey, that means a lot.
Okay, so everybody have a wonderful Friday. Be blessed, be creative, and enjoy and multiply life. Thank you.
Thank you. Much love, people. Stay shining. See you.
See you.